This is All of It on WNYC. I'm Allison Stewart. It's been 50 years since VHS was first introduced by the Japanese company JVC. VHS, which stands for Video Home System, gave people the ability to watch movies on cassette tape at their own abodes. It transformed the entertainment industry. People had more control over what they wanted to watch, when they wanted to watch it. Video stars ruled our Friday nights. Kim's anybody? Blockbuster Video? A new collection from the Criterion channel called VHS Forever celebrates the history of this format, with movies that feature and responded to the VHS movement. Criterion curator Clyde Foley is back here with me. It's always good to see you, Clyde.
It's great to see you, Allison. And I've never been more excited about VHS than from your wonderful intro. Let's go.
I am so excited. Hey, listeners, do you have fond memories of VHS? Can you think of any films with great VHS moments? Someone watching a VHS tape, or someone working at a video store? Call or text us now, 212-433-9692, 212-433-WNYC. VHS, I can't believe it launched 50 years ago. How did it change the way movies were consumed?
Well, this was the beginning of movies as a commodity. This was the beginning of movies as like an object that you can hold, right? Because before, people were seeing movies in movie theaters or on television. And this was kind of the first time that you could start collecting them, or you can go into a store and choosing what you wanted to watch. So it was the beginning of just a whole new way of watching movies.
If you're talking about movies about VHS, you have to start with Clerks, featuring Kevin Smith's breakthrough comedy being about two store clerks, one of whom works at a video store. Now Kevin Smith's kind of a household name, but at the time, who was Kevin Smith and what was he trying to achieve with this film?
Well, Kevin Smith was, at this point, I think he was 21 or 22.
Wow.
He was a clerk in a convenience store in Monmouth County, New Jersey. It's interesting you bring up Kevin Smith as the sort of the brand, right? We're very familiar with this Kevin Smith now, but Kevin Smith then was just a guy who, I believe the story is he had just watched Richard Linklater's Slacker at the Angelica and thought, this is a movie? I could do this. and so he did. And this is a movie that I really loved when I was a teenager. I think this is a very big movie for people of a certain age, especially if you're like a young man at this point too, especially. And then I kind of stepped back and was less interested in the films of Kevin Smith. And then in recent years, while doing research for the series, we're doing research for a film that I had worked on, I came back around to Clerks and I thought, you know what? No, I love this again.
Let's listen to a clip from Clerks. Randall, who works at the video store, pretends to be a customer and gets into a conversation with an actual customer who's waiting for him to open the store. This is Clerks.
Guy ain't here yet.
You're kidding. It's almost 11:30.
I know. I've been here since 11.
Man, I hate it when I can't rent videos.
I would have went to Big Choice, but the tape I want is right there on that wall.
Really? Which one?
Dental School?
You came for that too? That's a movie I came for.
I have first dibs.
Says who?
Says me. I've been here for half an hour. I call that first dibs.
Ain't gonna happen, my friend. I'm getting that movie.
Like hell you are.
I'll bet you $20 you don't get to rent that tape.
$20?
$20.
All right, you're on.
What does Clerks get right about video store culture?
Good question. I don't know, a certain form of obnoxiousness. I don't know, being an angry young man, being the lord of your own domain via all this knowledge that you've accumulated that is effectively worthless and not applicable in the real world at all. But I don't. You know what it really gets right is it was Abel Ferrara, the director, who I believe he called Clerks a working class masterpiece. And I think that's correct. I think when I was rewatching it recently, I was kind of shocked at a movie that this sort of cheap and raw and grimy looking and abrasive became like a sensation. And I think that's pretty cool.
Let's talk to Stephen, who's calling in from Montclair. Hey, Stephen, thanks for making the time to call All of It.
Hey, thanks for having me on. So I told your screener I made a huge mistake about 5 years ago. I had boxes and boxes, probably 200 video cassettes that I had collected over 20 years. I mean, and really good stuff too. Foreign films, like classics, all kinds of stuff. And I just was toting it from place to place. And I'm like, what am I doing? And I just chucked it all in the dumpster. And now I have a 14-year-old son who is obsessed with retro technology. And he's like, Dad, why did you do that? I think it's like the Stranger Things phenomenon. He's obsessed with the 80s. He's like, I can't find a video, a VCR that works. Where am I going to find it? It's like he's, sifting through eBay and stuff. And I'm like, I had a treasure trove I could have given you. Anyway, I lost legacy.
Daniel, so sorry to hear it. Let's talk to, Stephen. Let's talk to Daniel, who's in Brooklyn. Hi, Daniel. Thanks for calling All of It.
Hey, good afternoon, guys. As I was telling the person there, I can remember being around 16 years old, and when me and my friends, we used to watch anime like Dragon Ball Z, but the only way to get our hands on it at that time was we had to travel about an hour into Manhattan, all the way to this special video store on 23rd Street and 6th Avenue, which not only had that, but maybe other types of movies. But this is the only place we could find these videos. We purchased them. We didn't even know what episodes we were getting. It was always in subtitled, and it was just a random thing, but this is the only way we can get it, and we love to travel out there, and that was our little weekly routine of hoping they had new episodes to watch.
Thanks for calling in. This says, regarding VHS, when my whole family was banned from the video store on Montague Street for repeatedly failing to rewind the tape.
Brutal. Absolutely savage. I'm sorry.
I wanted to ask you, Clyde, by the way, we're speaking to Clyde Foley about a new collection at the Criterion channel, VHS Forever. If you want to call with your VHS memories, our number is 212-433-9692. I want to talk about the documentary Video Heaven, which was directed by Alex Ross Perry, and you edited it. You talked about this on the show. In the only documentary featured in the collection, why does it make sense with all of these films to have it be a part of it?
Well, it made sense. I think there are two ways it makes sense. One is that it makes sense as this is a film that is about the history of video stores as told through their depictions in film and television. So in a way, this thing, it's not the whole story of video stores, but it's the story of their representations. And so it made sense to include it because it's commenting on the way all the video stores have been depicted. So there's the larger sense there, but the other way it makes sense is that I spent 5 years editing this movie. I was living in the world of video stores far longer than anyone really should. And a lot of the films in the collection are films that were featured in Video Heaven. And I think that they're some of the best films in Video Heaven. And so I thought that it would be nice to have a collection that showed the good films in this film.
The Watermelon Woman. Tell us about this film.
The Watermelon Woman, Cheryl Dunye's film from, I believe, 1996, that she wrote and directed. It is a film, it's in the post-Clerks vein. It is a low-budget independent film that Cheryl Dunye wrote, directed, and starred in which she is a clerk at a video store, and it is, it's a fun comedy. It's a key text of queer filmmaking in the 90s, and so it is a movie that's a comedy about the video store, but it is also its own act of archiving work in that Cheryl Dunye plays a clerk who's obsessed with this actress from the early Black film, and she's making a film about this actress. But this is a fictional actress that she made up, so in a way that she's making this history of women in Black film and navigating through that.
Here's a clip from The Watermelon Woman. Cheryl, the name of the character who works at the store, is talking to one of her customers.
It's 2 for 1 Monday through Thursday.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time deciding. What do you think? Cleopatra Jones, Jason's Lyric, or a personal best?
Well, Cleopatra Jones is really fun. Why don't you do Cleopatra Jones and Carrie? I think the two go really well together.
No, but Carrie, I hate Sissy Spacek. She's all weird and pale and thin and anorexic in this movie. I kind of like my girls with meat on their bones, you know what I mean? Anyway, I just saw it.
Well, there's always some sci-fi like Aliens, or how about Repulsion with Catherine Deneuve? She goes nuts in her apartment one night.
Oh, I just moved into a new apartment. I don't think I need that.
Well, help yourself. It's 2 for 1.
Okay, thanks for your suggestions.
You're welcome.
You know, there are so many films that video stores show up a lot in these films. Why do you think so many filmmakers were interested in depicting this on screen?
I think it was just a part of our everyday life. It was one of those things where you go back to Seinfeld, and how many scenes in Seinfeld are there of Jerry and George and Elaine and Kramer at the video store? This is just something that everyone did for decades, and then everyone stopped doing this, and so that these scenes sort of weren't applicable in movies anymore unless they were period pieces.
Let's talk to Tomas calling from Lower Manhattan. Hi, Tomas. Thanks for calling all of it.
Thank you. I just wanted to say that about 25 years ago, when I was doing my master's in Korea, I was working for LG Electronics, and they were one of the world's last manufacturer of videotape. And I can remember translating and then helping them write letters defending and upholding the vibrancy of the videotape market in Europe, Middle East, and Asia, and Africa rather. And it was so sad to see, because I remember then about a year and a half after that, all the video stores closing, and they would sell the tapes. Each day you'd walk by, and each day it would be like 2 for $10, and then like 3 for $10, and then 3 for $5. And so when I moved back, I think I came back with about 3 or 5 big boxes of all these, crazy different various videos. Yeah. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. This says, shout out to Allen's Alley, Chelsea's greatest video rental that was on 9th Avenue between 22nd and 23rd. I remember that. He carried both VHS and DVDs, sold Fiestaware, and had a learned, salty staff who could make recommendations based on directors, actors, or subjects. And a snap, it was our own Kim's Long Live. The earliest film in the Criterion collection is 1983's Videodrome by David Cronenberg. Why does it make sense to start there?
Well, it's funny. I mean, it's the earliest film in the collection, but it's also kind of the film that lays out almost every single applicable theme for movies about videotape going forward. There's the fascination with this new technology. There's the way that the new technology is this agent of chaos, and it introduces danger and evil and sex into people's lives. But it's just really funny to me how, 1983 or whatever it is, David Cronenberg just got it. He knew.
It's sort of interesting. In a lot of these films, VHS is depicted as sort of threatening.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And not just threatening, but it's something that people obsess over, too. And I think that's maybe also new to the technology, is that this is something where people could just watch stuff over and over again. Mm-hmm. But also, I think one thing worth pointing out about VHS is that it initially was sold as blank tapes. Movies on tape didn't show up until a little later. The VCR was initially an object for recording television and being able to record things when you weren't home. So in addition to it's something that it brings this sort of chaos in your life, it's something where you can record things too.
Let's take a listen to The Ring. This is one of these movies about the VHS being a little bit violent. Let's play a clip from that opens the film, and it sets up what it's about.
Have you heard about this videotape that kills you when you watch it?
What kind of tape?
A tape. A regular tape. People run it, I don't know. We start to play it, and it's like somebody's nightmare. Then suddenly, this woman comes on, smiling at you, right? Seeing you through the screen. And as soon as it's over, your phone rings. Someone knows you've watched it. And what they say is, you will die in 7 days. And exactly 7 days later...
Who told you that?
Somebody from Rivera.
Who told you?
What's your problem?
I've watched it.
Dun, dun, dun. What is the strength of this movie, which is a remake, by the way?
Yeah, it's a remake, and it's a good remake. The strength is that, I don't know, I think the strength is Naomi Watts, actually.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this was maybe either the first or like the second major movie that she did right after Mulholland Drive. So I remember watching Mulholland Drive, and then this came out. I was like, I got to see this too. She's great in it, but it set the tone for horror movies for about the next decade, I think, because this is a remake of a Japanese film, and the Japanese in the late 90s were doing something different than what Americans were doing at that time. And so it became this whole new model of a type of horror movie to make, and it paved the way for many other films of this type.
This says, my favorite VHS description in American Psycho, I need to return some videotapes. A classic and a repeated line. We lost David Lynch just over a year ago, and this collection includes his film Lost Highway. How does Lynch use VHS smartly in this film?
It's an object that creates nightmares. The thing about Lost Highway is, for anyone who has not seen the film, it starts out with Bill Pullman and Patricia Arquette as a couple who start receiving these mysterious videotapes of someone filming their home, and then it becomes even more intrusive. And I think that one thing that Lynch utilizes really well is the texture of VHS and camcorder stuff, because it's a more low-res image than film. It's grimy, and then like the way it looks in the movie, like the lines are really apparent, and it's like the images in that are sort of prototypical image to what he later does in Inland Empire, which he shoots in standard definition DV, and it's very smeared and video-y, but it's its own particular look.
Let's try to get one more call in here. Judah from Manhattan. Judah, you're on the air.
Hey, how's it going? How you doing? I want to say thanks for having this episode. And one thing couple things I want to give a shout out to is I think the loss of the video store is a big deal, because to me it's like a loss of a good bookstore or any bookstore. And because with the video store, you were able to, one, get recommendations maybe from people who work there. And also it wasn't just new releases. It was, films of all genres and all decades. And I think that's a big loss. And so many people, they're just seeing what's new that week, and then it's over. And I think ultimately it even hurts the film business.
Thank you so much for calling in. Is there anything else in the collection that you think we should know about? We've got about a minute. You can shout out your favorites.
Oh, this is the speed round here. I'm very partial to the 80s John Frankenheimer film 52 Pickup, which in a way almost has like the least to do with videotape of any of these films. I just think it's kind of an underseen movie that's pretty great, where Roy Scheider starts being blackmailed with videotapes of this affair that he's having. And it's just an exceedingly nasty neo-noir. And so, I don't know, I think if you're in the mood for that sort of thing, it's pretty great.
Is there anything else?
The speed round keeps going. The Big Hit, starring Mark Wahlberg, from Hong Kong director Kirk Wong. In the mid to late 90s, so much of the great filmmaking talent from Hong Kong was coming to America, like John Woo and Choi Hark. And this was a director who's had a pretty interesting career and made a movie that is just really funny and obnoxious, and really it has the most beautiful video store ever made for a film, and they destroy it. So check it out.
You made it to a minute. Clyde Foley, he's a favorite of ours. You check out the Criterion collection. It's titled VHS Forever. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I'm Allison Stewart. I appreciate you listening, and I appreciate you.